Done?
Now it's on over.
There you go.
Now it's working?
Good. Recording right there.
Good.
Beautiful. All right. Anybody got anything they want me to touch on?
Let's go.
Besides that red button.
Respect and trust toward your loved ones.
What? Okay. What? I don't know what you're talking about.
His wife won't let him come home yet.
Y'all come forward.
Tell us more about it, Jason.
Well, is that really a question?
Yes.
Well, then talk to me about what do you, I don't know what that means.
In other words, she give me 3 strikes and I'm out.
Who did?
My wife.
She did that?
And her trust in me. Like coming back home, she told me 30 days to get my stuff back together. I've never been any other place, you know, rehab facility except back in 2003. And I went to Bradford, Warrior. And, you know, I made it 9 years, 8 months with no religious help, just more or less friends and family pushing me through it. And now, every time I drink, I gotta go look for some split tail. I've done that for the last 2 years, just been up and down. I can't get back to that flat line like I was for that 9 years. She don't trust me.
Why wouldn't you? Are you surprised that she don't trust you?
It's just, you know, she can't get over what I've done. You know, with that young girl, when she called us back in 2014, she said she still got that image planted in her mind.
You mean
Get it out.
You mean the dope board?
No, the crack.
Crack whore.
Crack board.
Crack whore. I love them crack whore.
I struggle with that same.
You still got that image implanted in your mind. So how, you know?
Well, I do, but I don't harp on it every day. I mean, every day that I screw up or do something, you know, she blames her for my relapse.
Wasn't her fault.
It was mine. It's all mine.
So what are you wanting from me?
Yeah.
How do you get back her trust? Is that what
You don't. We focus on getting back her trust. Because then you're just sitting around figuring out how you can convince her something that may not even be so.
Yeah.
So
So in other words,
I can't help you with that.
She's got to forgive herself in her mind then.
Now you got to carry on.
Okay, Holmes.
You'll see the result.
Come here and stand up here if you're going to do this. Okay.
Stand up.
Go ahead with it.
No, I was telling him to come up here if he's going to take over the class. And what was your last question? I don't remember.
He wants her trust back.
Respect and trust.
He said, does she have to forgive herself?
It ain't. You thinking about her is a bass backwards way to do it. Because you can't control that unless you're trying to manipulate it. If you want that relationship back, the only thing that's going to give you any kind of
Prove yourself over a period of time.
the only thing that's going to give you any kind of hope of something new, I mean, you could manipulate it somehow and get back like it was, but you don't want that because that's why you was going out doing what you was doing because it didn't satisfy, right?
Yes.
The only thing that's going to give you a chance at something new is to figure out what it is your soul requires. And it wasn't some 20-year-old crack whore. Or you'd be cool now. If that's what you were needing, it wasn't what you're needing because it didn't satisfy you. You know, it distracted you a little while. It made you feel beautiful or studly or whatever. You know? You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it's similar to what we was talking about with you. You know, when we started talking, when you've been here a month or so,
Yes.
what did I suggest to begin with? Do you remember?
I know we've talked about so much, I don't.
One of the main things we talked about was your stage in life. And you have been trying to be the hero and fix everything and take over the family business and all this stuff forever, trying to get approval, or if you worked hard enough, one day you might could go do what you wanted. Kind of thing, right? Okay. And while that's so, you really don't have any idea what it is you do want. Right?
Correct.
Okay. So if that formula is somewhat adequate, then you got to solve for X. You're a math guy, right? You know? But you're trying to solve for W. X is in you. X is what you don't know. It's the unknown about you. And focusing on your wife or this or that, that's not going to get you what you need. Because if there's no change in here, if there's no redemption, if there's no... I wish you'd have been here last week when he was talking about his beloved. How was that, by the way? How's it been since that?
I've had a breakthrough.
You what?
Had a breakthrough.
What kind?
Just I feel good about myself. You know, overall. Not so worried about everybody's, you know, approval of me, or I feel good about myself, and that's what matters. I'm not trying to put on the front. I mean, I do go back there at times, but that's just the mask. But for the most part, I've been pretty okay with myself, and I feel good about myself.
Is it different than I'm a good boy thing?
Yeah, it's different than
It's
that.
very different, ain't it?
Because that's how I've, you know, fed off of for years. Like, you know, you're a bad boy, you're a good boy. You know, it's either one of the two. It's not, you kind of just be in between.
You like Pinocchio, you're a real boy now.
Trying to be.
Because, let me
Well,
think,
I'm not trying, I'm working on it.
because I hadn't thought about it, but let me just run my mouth. I mean, that story of Pinocchio is about becoming real. You know? And all the stupid shit he did,
Yeah.
trying to be real.
You know, one of the reasons you got me to do that, I mean, you talked about it, is the situation and all with the woman and everything. The other situation that I was worried about has gotten better. So, you know, like, because I'm not inside, I'm not like, all, you know, torn in two. It's actually okay. I'm actually okay with
Whatever happened.
whatever happened, you know, and the other party is okay too. So that's all that matters right now.
We've been calling it fiction, for lack of a better word. We can call it something else tomorrow if you want, but all these scenarios in your head and all these ifs and then and ifs and thens, and it spikes our anxiety because we have no control there. You know, and then it fuels the more of this.
This is applying to a lot of people in the classroom. Like me.
And it's not, one of the things I was thinking about coming over here was in relationship to the fiction idea and how we do religion. Has anybody ever been, how many of y'all came up in church? You know, how many of y'all experienced it as not quite real? As though somebody was not telling you the secret.
Yeah.
And you would look out across the congregation and think, well, they must have it together. And then they'll come up and give a testimony about God made my middle toe grow back because I prayed correctly or something. And you're like, damn, why, God don't love me? Why, I'm like, grow my toe, please. And we get ourselves all twisted up in that. And religion is a fiction. I'm not saying it's not true or whether it's true or false. I'm not saying that. But religion is not knowing God. It's not. It's a story. And sometimes, especially if we're very religious, we try to become expert in religion. And I hear y'all talking some, when you're not talking about dope or women, and you're arguing theology, you move into that every once in a while. Right? Or being mad at Tim or whatever. Something. And it's not like y'all are sitting there being open and transparent and communicate. You're talking to each other through this mask of your religious expertise. Do y'all understand? And it's more of a win-lose. If I win, I made my point, so you shut up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What?
I got something to say about, I've always been a material person, and like with the, when I was about 10 years old, told me wasn't no such thing as Santa Claus. Okay, an Easter bunny. How do you rationalize that through God when, what I'm saying, they taught you to believe in that when you was a child, and now you try to grasp all of that and bring it in. It's hard. It's always been hard for me to take it in because, never seen it, never felt it.
I would say it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Religion is a story. And I'm not saying if it's true or false. But we're in our culture anyway. We're taught Santa Claus and Jesus. When you tell the Christmas story, they even tell it wrong in church. The wise men wasn't there that night. Okay, the shepherds came, they say. And Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. That's actually a Roman god, sun god's birthday. And that, it comes out of Egypt and all that stuff. Right? A lot of that was done for crowd control by Constantine. Okay? That don't mean Jesus ain't. Okay? But that's what, because when I remember being little and trying to figure out how the dinosaurs fit with cavemen and Jesus and Santa Claus and Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy. And it all kind of got thrown in there. I did a thing on the blog around Christmas about just how the Christmas story is actually very frightening. And it gets mixed into our religion. You have this creepy guy that can see whatever you do. And if you don't do what he wants, you're going to go on the naughty list. But if you do right, you'll go on the good list and get all these presents.
That's kind of how I feel about God.
That's what you were taught about God through your religion. Except they don't say it that way.
Yeah.
Okay?
You lie, you're gonna go to hell.
But we lie every time we open our mouth if we think we know the truth, because the truth we only can see through a mirror darkly or dimly. The guy that wrote most of the New Testament says, I don't know about a lot of stuff. Okay?
I've even heard that the Roman guards took Jesus out of the tomb, and you know what I mean?
So when we're trying to engage this stuff, and we try to figure out our problems outside ourselves, without doing a diagnosis. You're a mechanical guy, you can do all kind of stuff. If the tractor's squeaking, you don't change the tire necessarily. You got to get in there and see what's making it squeak. Right? You can change all the tires and put a new transmission in it, but if you ain't diagnosed it right, you're just wasting time. Our problem, the core of it, is not drugs or women or any of this stuff that gets us in trouble. That's just the symptoms. When I was talking to Homie here a while ago, it's not doing dope that gets you in trouble. It's getting your drama in the street. It's the people you hang out with while you're doing it.
Yep.
And all of that is funded and motivated by something in our core that we have no clue about. It's a big X.
You kind of want people to know it. Ego thing.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Maybe if the person he was whenever he done that with that young girl, if he's still that same person today, then why wouldn't she think he still did the same thing?
That's the point. He will do the same thing.
Think like my girlfriend.
Because there's lots of ways to be unfaithful in a marriage that doesn't require screwing somebody else. And women, I think, sometimes would have a hard time understanding this, but most of us would be happy living in a trailer, with no stress. It'd be a nice trailer, but,
More money, more problem.
And I've known people who brought home $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month, building businesses, and thinking that they're working to get free, and they turn around and the bank account's zero every month. Don't matter how much you bring in. Right? That's unfaithfulness on whoever's spending that money. Right? That's, to me, because money represents our life energy. And if somebody is taking your thousands and thousands of dollars and blowing it up a wild hog's ass, that is profoundly unfaithful. More so than you screwing a little girl, in my opinion. Okay? But it's more socially acceptable to get new shiny cars and bigger houses and this and that. And that's great, because our society, which is a friggin' trap, teaches us that life is about stuff. And we compare ourselves to other people based on how big our front door is or how shiny our car is. That's why I don't wash my car. Fuck it. That's a societal expectation. That's just me. I'm not making any commentary on the world about that. That's just me. I don't care. Do you hear me about that? The unfaithfulness and the trust and
I got all of this shit.
And so does the other half. My guess is. But she wants you to go back to act and provide and do and do and do. I'm guessing. But you trained her that way, so it's not really her fault.
21, no, did it 25 years.
Because you got off on being the big man and the boss and the, you know. And she was happy to let you be the big man and the boss. And she got something out of that.
So we're pretty much responsible for everything that's going on in our lives, in one shape, form, or fashion. We had a choice.
We're responsible, but we're unconscious about it many times. Our main responsibility is to become aware of what the hell's reality in us. Not our wives or girlfriends or whatever. Because when I take my eyes off of that stuff and begin to look in here, all that other stuff, all that fictional stuff loses its power over me to one degree or another. Because at some point, when you can go to that place that's too deep for words, nothing can hurt you there. It really doesn't matter what happens. You know. And we do got to interact on this material plane, but most of us have not had a glimpse at X. We hadn't even known X was there, except in our dreams, or except in these patterns that keep repeating in our outside life over and over and over and over and over again. Different people, maybe different places, different circumstance, but the same patterns. And your troubles, in a sense, are your souls trying to get your attention. And then when we have troubles, our first impulse is, how do I get out of my trouble? Rather than, what is my trouble trying to teach me? Because your trouble, like a dashboard, like an oil light coming on your dashboard, is a friend. But has anybody ever had an oil light come on your car? And you go, damn.
Yeah.
Or you're on empty, damn. And the gas guy's saying, baby, I'm trying to help you. The oil light's saying, baby, I'm just trying to help, and you mad at me, you know. I just won't come on no more, let your damn engine blow up. How's that? Our troubles are our indicators. They're our friends. Our anxiety, our chronic frustration around here that you may have with certain people or whatever. Our first impulse is, them people need to change. And and then we argue with them, and you know, and
Damn, I got a lot of friends.
see? And you're throwing your power away. You just had a visitation by an angel of God, right? In your trouble. And you're like, I ain't gonna say that. You know. Is this getting any clearer to y'all as we've talked about this for a month or two?
It's only got clearer since I started.
Since you actually did something about it.
I did something
Yeah.
and actually starting to be more real
Yeah.
about shit.
Because last week, I think it was last week, it started with, how do you know if this is not just another fake out?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Phil, I think I need to write myself a love letter.
I want to do it.
You going?
But you can't do it with the mask on.
I struggle going back and forth, you know, like there's a struggle even trying to put the mask on when you're doing it, you know. Because I said something about it, it's like, is it bullshit or am I being?
And that's a different way of thinking. You're paying attention to that tension for the first time, really. I've taught you everything you need to know now.
Paying attention to attention.
Paying attention to what you're paying attention to. And
Past week, I've kind of like sat back and kind of like observed more than I've like observed myself, observing other people.
Yes.
Instead of not observing anything and just, you know, talking bullshit. You know, really, like for real.
and it's like,
It's weird, but
cool.
I can feel myself like anger or anything rising up in me, you know, and it's like I'm just gonna let them handle that shit. Not deal with my shit.
And you're stepping out of a fiction. You know, because there are times you need to act. Even Jesus beat ass sometimes.
But I mean, most shit around here don't require.
It's ridiculous, most of the stuff around here. It's 14, 15-year-old boys talking out of 50-year-old mouths.
Yeah. So,
You know, you understand what I'm saying? It's just the same old tired stuff. People think I can read their mind. It ain't about 3 or 4 things people do. It's boring. It's the same old. I mean, I've been here 15 years at this place. Pretty much every week for 15 years. I hadn't seen nothing new in a long time. It's very predictable. What is not predictable is who's going to engage the process that I'm talking about. That's what you can't predict. I can't predict who's going to do what. And I'll poke at folks and see, and folks will come sometime and they'll tell me stuff and blow smoke up my ass like I'm this brilliant person. And I don't believe it shit. I just nod and smile, and you know, because it's not real complicated, except when we're living in the fiction. It's very complicated because we try all kind of stuff, but we have no power there, so nothing really changes, and we think it's complicated. What I'm talking about is very simple, and it's so simple we just blow it off many times.
it's like you say, it's just too hard. It's, you know, something's just, you know what I mean? Like when you're in the fiction, I can't do this. Oh, what's going on with me? You know, like why can't I? You know,
Round and round and round.
round and round and round and round the merry-go-round. You know, and I've been like that here before.
I mean, it's so simple.
You know, I got out of here. Such a surprise. You know.
Somebody probably got high here last night. Hope they paid their bill. You know, because we'll do some good with that money, and then before they go give it to a crack dealer. You know, I ain't mad at them. They're just walking dead people. And they still mad, 15-year-old boys with their mask on.
Going back to that ex,
All right. We still on, Hoss?
Yeah.
my wife is that ex also. She works on everything around her but herself. She's more or less tries to be a fixer for everybody, but she hasn't fixed what she needs to fix in herself.
So she needs a drunk philanderer so she can feel good. Because there's a thing that happens sometimes in a marriage, and even a long-term marriage, where we kind of settle into a pattern, and we're not really intimate and authentic with our mate. You know, we act one way at the house, another way when we're out. Not necessarily bad stuff, just the sharing of secret intimacies is not present. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we treat each other as though we are the fiction. And they are the fiction. We assume that's real because how you think of your wife is not who she is.